downtime this morning, so I figured I would just make use of my time and just hop on and be present. If that's the right way of saying it. For anybody having any questions regarding Lilith. And also, I'm really hoping that the thumbnail uploaded it, but my book, Lilith, the Dark Goddess Who Placates in the Shadows, is almost finished. It's almost ready to be published, and I'm going to be self-publishing it. And I'm so excited to finally publish it. And in case if you're not really familiar, hey, Ethan, in case if you're not really familiar with the way that I like to, let's say, if you're not really familiar with like how I hold Lilith in her regards, I hold her in regards and I speak about her in a way. Hey, Sandy. I speak about her in a way that's kind of not really with the norm. And by the norm, I mean like, oh gosh, that lighting is so bad. I'm just gonna sit back down. That lighting was so bad. I'm not gonna do that again, no. But as I was saying, pretty much the stereotypical everyday viewpoint of Lilith is that she's, I can't even say the word because it's just disgusting. It begins with a W and then H, and then yeah, you get the idea. Or even calling her an Harolt. Just can't say the word. I just can't do it. But this commonality of thinking that it's okay to speak to a divine being in such a manner. Hi, Kayla. Yeah, I don't go along with that because for me, if you're going to be calling a divine being something like that, you're not really respecting them. If you're thinking it's okay to take a derogatory term and then address your deity like that, that's not really respect. That's buying into somebody else's BS and how their viewpoint is, and it's intentionally degrading. And I'm already getting agitated, but you're actually buying into somebody else's belief. And actually, throughout the book, there's many times where I put in caps, literally like in caps, big letters. I was even thinking about underlining it. But pretty much, it's saying that these things that are in caps and or just heavily influenced, those are the things that you have to do if you really want to have a good connection with her. And funny enough, the sexual aspect of her and her with that aspect, I barely, if not even, I think I only have one line saying that, yeah, that is a part of her, but it's so minuscule to her core, like what she's trying to bring you to humanity, what she's trying to guide them with, which is empowerment of the self. That's the core. From there, that's where everything else can be built on top of it. Because if you don't have empowerment of the self, you're relying on something outside of you, which you can't be empowered to your full extent if you rely on something besides you. Because you are always going to be there for you, nothing else. You're always going to be there from day one till you kick your bucket. You're always going to be there every second. So if you have empowerment of the self, here's an example. Say, for an example, there's actually somebody working in that kind of work. Okay, it is what it is. And it's being done by choice and the choice of wanting to do it for themselves. Like, I want to do this because I enjoy doing it. That's completely different than going with many people trying to get something because there's this need for it. Because the person that's doing the line of work, they're doing it and they're choosing to do it because they enjoy it. While somebody else who's just doing it and going about it because they're trying to find some sort of connection or just try and escape something or doing something that's not really what they want to do, that's not empowerment. If you're doing something you don't want to do and you're uncomfortable with it doesn't matter what it is, you're not being in your empowered state. If you're making the choice to go, okay, I enjoy doing this, no matter what it is, but again, you gotta use your common sense. Having enjoyment by hurting people, no, that's not enjoyment. Whatever I'm doing, if I'm enjoying it, I want to keep doing it. And I'm being more empowered to do so. With my empowered choice, I'm choosing to do this. And if anything comes in between me, I'm not going to let it stop me. Even if it's something or someone trying to say that it's wrong, immoral, or it's sinful, quite frankly, most of the time, if not all the time, sin's an opinion. And from sin, there seems to be this recurring theme that apparently sin is enjoyment of the 3D world, which how can you how can you say that it's bad to enjoy what's around you? Now, there's a fine line difference between enjoying something because it's, per se, it does have a lot of risk involved, and it's not really a healthy choice. That's completely different, and that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, say, if you're like if you're out in the bar and enjoying your surroundings, and if you're just drinking a little nice glass of Merlot, you're not out of order. You're not acting erratic. You're not acting aggressive. You're acting in control, and you're enjoying it. You have what's his title? Yeah. Well, again, because sin, funny enough, sin is also one of the names of the moon, and moon. Well, sometime. Well, I might have like a hidden message from the entertainment hippo. I'm not curious, but the thing is, sin is also another name of the moon. Is one of the moon's names, and the moon is also known as the planetary being that is the most lustful, the one that wants to enjoy and something of the 3D, of something that's of the world, believe it or not. And what somebody else says is sin may not be a sin to somebody else. That's why somebody else's pleasure can be somebody else's pain. And that can be taken to the extreme, or something as simple as like somebody liking black licorice, and then somebody not liking black licorice. Some people love it all the way, or they despise it. It's an opinion. And what somebody finds as a like may be a complete dislike to somebody else. Now, what I'm talking about on my moon is I'm talking about black moon Lilith, the mathematical point of moon's orbit from Earth's position. I do mention the other two Liliths in the book, but I don't focus on them because they don't have as much pull as the black moon Lilith's position. That's the only astrological thing I'm getting into. Well, that is true. Although, then again, at the same time, is either now my mind's wandering. I'm trying to think about it, but I'm hoping to get the book published in. Wait, check something real quick. Okay, I just had to check to see if there was a message or something. But I'm hoping to get the book published probably by the end of latest next month, latest. But I'm just trying to get like the final okays for having cited works be allowed to be put in there. And like what I said about the preface, if you happen to have seen it and I've sent you it, or you've been on my Instagram or anything like that, you're gonna see that it's not gonna be like, here's a script, now go stand for this statue or this image of her, and now say this to her, and she'll come to you like that. Not that's now I'm really intrigued about that. But that's this book's not intended for you to be able to connect it all like that. No, it's not going to be like a generic like here's her correspondence list. Here's this about her. Here's how you. Sorry about that. I'm just waiting for one of my people that I work for to come in, and I haven't seen them appear yet. So just keeping an eye out. And then that's also when I have to end the live stream. But anyway, so the book is really intended to also move on more than just the 3D everyday level. Meaning that like the generic like, okay, so if for whatever reason, if I'm going to be going towards Lilith, I have to be able to understand that oh, the only thing that I can say is, well, what's stopping you? Nothing really. But essentially, this book is intended to make a big shift to the collective as a whole and not just be all like a minuscule, generic how to word by word. And actually, English was my best subject in school. But this book's not intended to make you just get have like a little cheat sheet. No, it's also going to be about, say, improving. Yeah, it's going to be aimed to improve Lilith's standing in the world. That's the intention of it, along with. Sorry about that. I'm still just making sure that. Okay. Yes, Sandy's. It's been a. It's really a book that took took some time making and months take to make, like consistent work. Like, hold on, I got a text message. I got back now. So, as I was essentially, this book as well is going to be primarily on changing how the world speaks of Laurel. She's being spoken about and her standing in the collective as a whole, but also to also make a big shift in how you use your vocabulary. Yeah, we're going to be trying to get rid of words such as those vulgar words that I don't like saying, and to actually be able to take a stand for yourself and be able to say if there's something that is not good for you, if something is not what you want to do, to also encourage you to take a stand for yourself and to push it back. That's really the intention of the book, and to also hold her in the highest regards and to kind of just get rid of this nasty, vulgar, vile, inaccurate way of speaking of her and teaching about her. Because as a whole, the Abrahamic beliefs, they have painted a very vile and kind of disgusting depiction of her. And in the book, especially in the first section about her history, I don't even speak about anything. I don't speak anything about, say, like how she is another. Excuse me. I don't speak about like how she's considered to be like in um, like Babylonian mythology and like in demonology. I don't even speak about that. I only speak about when she first was known to emerge from the void. And I pretty much recall how it's supposed to be, except to the point where it was heavily altered. Well, it's easily it's easily going to be looking more than 20. It's not. It's a book that's straight to the point, but it does have the information that's needed for it. It's like it like gets to the point where it needs to be said. Excuse me, Jim. How about you don't do that? No, that's unacceptable. Do not do that. No, don't tell another viewer, especially one that's a moderator who's asking a simple question. Don't tell them to be quiet and interrupt, especially when it's a question towards me. Besides, I didn't even really ask about anything regarding what you have to say. Thank you. Um, Regarding that, you would have to be really careful because one of the things that I'm very careful with is that I don't like reading a lot from different people because a lot of people, when you first read about a subject, it can actually stick with you. And when I was learning about Lilith, I mean, I learned my first real bit from Kendra, and she told me from her video. I don't even think it's up anymore. But yeah, her first Lilith video, which was about 40 minutes long. Yeah, but yeah, pretty much that's where I got most of my first, first exposure. Like the first time that I was actually starting to learn more about her in the beginning and started the first technical few steps. Does that make sense? Yeah. And from there, I mean, I really just had the experience. I don't want to say hands on because that doesn't sound appropriate, but most of the experience has been personal, like what I've experienced and some thoughts that popped in my head, and I'm just bluffing them. But anyway, so hopefully the book will be finished and set out by the end of next month or even sooner, the latest. And on top of that as well, it's easily going to be more than 20 pages, but it's short, a little bit point blank, but what could you expect? And it has been a while making this, and I'm cross-checking. I thought about that too for a while, but primarily I've gone with the choice too to make it available for like an ebook. Yep. Well, for a signed copy, I think I might just have a few physical copies, and if it's desired, then I guess I would do that. Well, for how stressful it is, the only part that was the most stressful was taking the time to actually get everything written out on paper, and then to have an a scholar's um, how do you say it, like a scholar's input on it for accuracy. And of course, Kendra was the one that I actually had to check at least the historical part because the correspondences and how you make up the space, not really an editor, but kind of just like that. But primarily, I relied on her to check and make sure that everything in the section, which is about her history and her origin from the void, yeah, she was the factual support. I'm going to be releasing it in English first, and if I'm able to figure out a way to get it translated, I do want to translate it to as many languages as possible. Yeah, and I mean, it's with Kendra. I mean, she does have she does have her master's degree in religious history, and I think that's what it is, religious history or something regarding that. But still, I mean, she has a degree in it, so yeah, that would be nice too. But if that does happen to take place, I mean, I do feel I have to compensate you for that, Sandy, because that's work. Yeah, it's going to be in physical copy, such as paperback and maybe hardback. Oh, Jim, do me a favor. Could you please apologize to Kayla for talking to her like that? And then everything will be fine because that was really not acceptable. But other than that, I am hoping it to be a paperback and hardback, and as well as being able to be an ebook and sold online, downloadable, and pretty much be put on as many mediums as possible and as many formats as possible, so that way everybody can have a chance to read it and get the material from it. And as time goes on, once I have the financial means, of course, I do want to try and get it to translate into as many languages as possible because, yeah, we need to have this to be able to be understood throughout, excuse me, the world, because this is something that's long overdue and it should not have taken this long. But by taking this long, I mean that having the awareness to think, wait a minute, how come there's glorification in a divine being advocating a violation of another being against their will just because it's their word? No, because I mean it's the main message is essentially okay, let's see, how am I going to put this? I'm trying to put this as accurately as possible. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what title or what status something is or someone is. I have, and it's not what you think. But the message of the book at the core is to completely eradicate the just uncalled for teaching and spreading it as fact, which technically is nowhere really the focus point of her. There you go. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that. No harm, no foul, no. But nonetheless, the focus is to completely eradicate every vile, uncalled for, disgusting reference to her, and to have it be known that, hey, no, don't call her these vulgar names, these uncalled for names, these names that are just disgusting and cynical, because it's just being like that. And as well, to also take those that are in a situation where they have no power and they're being violated, overstepped, boundaries not being respected. Yeah, no. This is actually also going to help the reader take a stand for themselves and stand up. It's not, it's going to be benefiting both her and the reader, regardless of who's reading it and whatnot. And I mean, I do expect a lot of, organized pushback from it. But I mean, honestly, it's to be expected. And to be honest, the world does not have to like the truth. They have to take it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't like in the world, but I have to take it and I have to accept it. Trust me, there's a lot of them. And it is what it is. And let's see, it's more than just connecting to her. It's more than just that. It's actually taking steps to better yourself, stand up for you, take your truth back, and express your truth without any kind of restriction or somebody tearing you down, preventing you from expressing yourself to your true self. But for that, for Black Moon Love, that part, it's not really mentioned in the book. No, no, absolutely not. Because for me, when it comes to Lilith, even though that is an aspect of her, to me, I see, okay, that's a divine being. Yes, I will. No, Jim, you made a mistake. It is what it is. Nobody's perfect. You made a whoopsie. It is what it is. Just, just whoopsies happen. But you have to accept that you made a whoopsie. Putting the blame and starting to shift that, that's not that's not helping you grow. But anyway, writing other books for other deities and other divines, yes, I have to put them in a moment to cool down again. But anyway, other divines. I'm thinking about writing about. Hell's another one. Well, of course, she's like my matron goddess. So yeah, okay, mods, please. But anyway, I'm thinking about writing one for Hell, possibly Nyx too, but I'm not really entirely sure about that one just yet. But Hell, I know would be another one. I do also. I mean, there's so many other topics and subjects that I can write about, but primarily this was the biggest one that I wanted to put out there because there is a lot of publications and writings that are supposed to be about her. It's supposed to be being as accurate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, Sandy. You would. If I'm thinking that is the right word, and I'm thinking of this, but pretty much it's just like actually a reference that I'm going to be referring to. Yes, I would probably more than likely say yes because that's one of the. Okay, well, at this point, I'm just going to put them both in a moment to cool off because I'm just going to put this. I'm just going to say this right now. This is not supposed to be happening when it's involving trying to get a message across or like some kind of other subject and having people clash with one another. This is not the space for that. If there's something wrong, if there's something that's between you and somebody else, in my space, in my time, and whenever I'm live, don't hissy fit. Don't hissy fit. Because either one, I'll just mute you like that and put you in a moment to cool down. Or two, which the second one I have done on other live streams, I will not hesitate to put you on blast and tell you, really? Why are you acting like this? And do you not have self control? because that's taking time and much needed information from other people. Because I have to come in and stop it. So please, if there's something that's bothering you and upsetting you, you can have a intelligent exchange to bring understanding about something or share your point of view about a subject, whoops, peacefully and professionally, for that matter. That's encouraged. But if you're going to be acting in a way that's kind of childish, no, don't do that. Not in my time, and not on other people's times, because it's not fair to them. It's mainly not fair to them because they're trying to get this information and they're actually being robbed of it. Don't do that. Don't be a part of the problem. And that's really all I have to say about that. But hmm, hmm, usually usually one of the clients that I work with comes in around this time, but as much as I can say, I'm kind of getting worried. But anyway, as I was saying, Hell will be another book I'll be writing, and then after that, probably I'm not even sure what I'll be doing next because I like to focus on one thing at a time. And in case if you haven't seen on my Instagram what the artwork is, I'll post it as a community post so that way you can all see it and have a look at it. But also, the artwork on the cover is actually a really good friend of mine. Um, well, Adam, sometimes she just comes in whenever she wants to, but usually when it's needed, she just comes through. But most of the time, she's unpredictable. She just comes through whenever she wants to. That's just her nature. She does as she likes, and she cannot be told no. That's not recommended. Let's see here. Lilith and Inanna, they are essentially the same, yes, in a way, because originally Lilith, when she self-exiled herself by self, like she exiled herself, when she was outside of Eden and walking around the world, wherever she went, she essentially adapted to that culture and pretty much that area of the world's walk of life. Like when she would go to say, here's a good example. Say like if she went to like um, towards Scandinavia and to where the Norsemen were, one of the one of the possible um, associations is actually hell. Hell is one of those believed to be associated ones that is tied with Lilith. And same with I think I could be wrong. I usually get these two backwards. I think it's Babylonian with Tiamat or Tiamat. That's believed to be another possible associated connection there. But the idea is that when she left Eden and when she was going around the world, as the world changed around her, so did her name. That's the that's the general idea. And once she got her vengeance on Adam, and when she was still not really in, I mean, the way that the book puts it nice and simple, and it actually just gets to the point. But essentially, after with Adam, and she was still wandering this existence not on the physical human plane, but just the having the awareness and being able to just go wherever she wants to at any given moments. It's that idea that wherever she goes, she essentially puts on a different mask, if that makes sense. It's still her, but she puts on a different mask and adapts, if that makes sense. Well, the reason why I'm walking around is I'm actually at my work and I'm looking to see if my client is going to be coming in any moment. I have to go down and get them. And horse, well, probably because I've been talking nonstop for the past 36 minutes and I don't really talk that much. And yeah, that's primarily the reason why. But if anything, I think there was another question that you would ask. Um, for the black for Black Moon Lilith and the signs and other planets, that part, well, that's not in the book. The only thing that's in the book is Black Moon Lilith's position in the chart and how, in a certain position, it can actually potentially hint at Lilith being more likely to work with you. Now, yeah, Jim, if you want to, you can. If you deem fit, you can. If you want to, you can, and you can do super chat or whatever you deem fit. And I mean, if there's ever anybody wanting to, I mean, you're free to, and I'm not really wanting to ask for it. I mean, I'm just somebody who's content with anything. So you do what's deemed fit. And oh yeah, I was talking about the book cover. The cover is actually a friend of mine, Crystal, who's also one who's really connected with Lilith, and she has gone and is still going through a lot all by herself as a single mother, and she has endured a lot, and she's still going. When I first met her, she actually was not in the best standing, and she was really needing some somebody to actually really kind of help awaken that inner Lilithian aspect, if that makes sense. And essentially, for I've only known her for about a year and a few days. Within that a year and a few days, she has completely made a big 180. And right now, she actually is having her own online business, and she's doing exceptionally well. I have to go down and get my client because they just arrived. So thank you for your time, guys, and I will talk to you guys later.